Hello. Good, how are you? Okay. You can walk down to like that spot you were last time. All right. How's your week?
Good. Sorry we didn't hook up on the Zoom thing.
Oh no, buddy. Book that when you're ready. What you do?
Keep it dietitian.
Oh, okay.
Looking for a small
Okay.
and they're like company that senior living center work with this company to basically procure everything.
Okay.
So he's going to be handling all the stuff in food. So, I don't know, just find new sources and providers and things that are more organic or
Healthier.
yeah, and just like lend credibility to the company that that service that they're providing is being provided by a registered dietitian.
Sure.
Who's working clinical treatment there.
Gotcha. People Pilates.
How's your start following the Twitter site?
We're on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. I know our Twitter. I don't do anything with it. I just like have everything upload to that automatically. But yeah, talking about like the pack walks and stuff like that. Yeah, I started that because of quarantine. Just bored.
Started the walking
Yeah.
service.
So like we offered it, but it was like an add-on service. And then with quarantine, because we were getting like sometimes like 2 dogs a day, 3 dogs a day, and being inside all day, is we started doing it just to get out, stretch our legs, get the dogs out, things like that. And then people really enjoyed them. Then we started like just randomly taking pictures next to art murals, and then people really liked that, and just kept with it. So I used to walk. Most I've ever walked was 12, but I used to regularly walk 9 through the South Loop. So I used to live in the South Loop. The 6 were my stepdad's and the 3 were mine. So every morning I'd be walking 9 dogs. People would stop me all the time for like pictures, and tourists would stop for pictures. Yeah. So I'm sure out there somewhere there's pictures of me on someone's social media. So what we'll do is while we wait for Jen, is we're going to get Dinah here set up, and then I can have Enrique help you in the meantime with like holding her and all that stuff, just to show me how you've been practicing, what you remember, make sure we're practicing all that stuff correctly, and then we'll move on towards the next half, okay?
Yeah, I think the only issue, and she's been doing great on the walks, that's fantastic. With the come stuff, she is still getting confused about who she's supposed to come to.
Sure, yeah, it's normal.
It's like, Jen took her for a walk and then she was practicing in the backyard to come, and then I came out and trying to get her, and you know, I would say come, and she would go to Jen.
Yeah, because she had just done a bunch with her. So that takes time to fix, because we have to teach Dinah to recognize the voice that she's coming to. So it's really just drilling out between yourself and Jen until she
knows this, the voice she's got.
Exactly. So whenever, like, let's say that happened again, I'd want to make it so that I could make Dinah actually come to me, right? So like, let's say Jen was practicing no leash because it was just her, then you come out like, hey, I want to work with her, and right away pop on that long leash because I know she's not going to have to do with it. We have something to help guide her forward. Okay?
Yeah, and then I was working with her. I took her for a walk, and I was working with her in the backyard. And after like 2 attempts, I couldn't get far enough away from her, so like she made it work, but she just kept following.
Yeah. So that's the one thing about practicing solo, is that if you drill it too much by yourself, you're going to get that problem. So that's why, like like let's say you go to a park like this and you give her the slack, like I'll give her the freedom to just be free for like a while, 10, 15 minutes or so, and then give like a random recall, and then release her and let her for another 10 minutes just be loose by herself. And instead of calling her again, I just might drag her in with the leash to avoid her gluing to you. So she gets comfortable with like, oh, okay, like I can be free, but when he calls me, I need to return. She bounce that out. But that's super common, both of those things. Go ahead and help him with Dinah here.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
Yeah, just practice
Say come.
Do your movements back.
Say come, zap her, back up a couple steps, and just reel her in.
Correct. Wait a moment.
Dinah, come.
Right, now turn, tap, tap. Right, hold right there. Good. Hello. Came just in time. We just started.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Enrique was just helping him with holding Dinah so that he could show me what you guys were practicing.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, now is that dog right there, I think.
Were they just trying to say hi? I think.
Say hi. That's work. I know. What are they doing to you? Torture!
Hey, what's your number at currently?
What's that?
What's your number at, Corey?
36. Okay. Dinah, come. Dinah, come.
Good. Tap. Right, hold right there. Tap, tap, tap. Now back, tap. Right, good, hold right there. There you go. Now praise. Good. We'll just do one more, then we'll swap.
Dinah, come. Come.
Watch your legs. Yep. Tap, back, tap, back, 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 back. Good. Keep going. You got it. Good. Tap. Good. Tap, tap, tap. Right. Good. 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 We're going to swap handlers.
Might have to turn it up.
Dinah, come.
Tap. Good. Good. Praise. There we go. Do two more.
The only tap I did was right at the end.
Okay. Here, just up, and then tap. Hold
Yeah,
up.
I was happening.
Tap. Oh, you was?
Yeah.
Hold a sec. Wait a moment. Relax. Up. Tap. Relax. Wait a moment. Up. Tap. Relax. Wait a moment. There we go. You ready?
Dinah, come.
Girl. Good. 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 Do one more.
Dinah, come.
Excellent. All right. Go to bring Dinah over. Good. So Corey was telling me earlier, where like you were practicing recall in the yard, and then you came out to do like a recall, but then she ran to you.
Yeah, it was like at the end of our walk, we would do it a little bit in the yard, and it was just her and I let her like free and just go run around and chase squirrels, and I would just do it a couple times, and she just shoot right to me.
Sure.
But as soon as the dynamic of both of us, it was very confusing.
Yeah,
trying to
that's
get
all
in the back
normal.
door.
For sure. So I'll tell you that's all normal. Is that you want to set up sessions where you're like proactively working on that. You know, so when we see the progress, people tend to assume like, oh, the dog's got it. But there's so many different contexts. You know, there's like here, this is busy because there's things around us, but we're not using anything that's actively engaging her.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a different context. Now with you with the squirrels, and you said that was within your backyard. Okay. So in that context, great. Then you go to a park with squirrels, not so great.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where changing the environments and all that stuff. Working in the yard is great for getting that foundation in, where it's getting familiar to her.
Yeah.
Okay. So then when you go to the park, you know, after you do a couple of reps there, it should easily just kind of transfer. Or she's like, oh, this is kind of like the backyard.
Yeah.
But when you add in that second handler factor, then it's teaching her to recognize the voice and not just to assume, well, I did 20 recalls with you, so I'm going to assume that I run to you even if he's the one calling me. Okay? So then if that's something I'm going to do, then what I told him was I would go and leash her up first. Because I'm already knowing we're going to have that problem.
Yeah.
Right? So anytime you're going to change it up, just assume it's not going to go the way you think it is, and have that long leash ready. Okay. Otherwise, I try to, even at this stage, like I don't like doing the recall without a means of making it happen. Okay, and making it happen is with the leash, because let's say in the yard we're practicing and she's doing great, and I go to no leash, and then I call her and then she's not responding, or if anything, she's moving away from us. Because for dogs, the leash acts as a path to you, and a lot of times when people remove that, the dog acts like they don't know what they're doing. Okay, so then me personally, I can make the dog return, but it's harsh because you have to go up higher and higher and higher and higher, and the dog's just all over the place before they finally panic and freak out and they go, oh, maybe I run to you.
Yeah.
And then that's the answer.
Which is kind of what happened in the yard the other day. Like, she had been doing it, and I was going up incrementally by like 5 at a time.
Yeah.
I got to like 70, and she was just freaking out by the back door. And so we kind of like stopped the exercise for a second, went back down to like 50, and she was just sitting on the back steps.
Yeah.
And then I went up to her, I went up to the steps, and we started the exercise again, and then she did it.
You did closer.
Yeah.
So, that's exactly what I would expect.
Okay.
So that's why we do the leash, even in the yard, you know, because for some people, it's like, why would I do that? I'm like, the dog's going to be called, can I Even for the, it's a nice little pointer. That's something. Even in the yard, I'm wanting to practice and get this down. Okay? And the yard's the fastest because she's already gonna be comfortable there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of familiarity. There's stimuli like the squirrels and stuff, but nothing too out the ordinary that you'd progress to no leash there very quickly, as opposed to no leash here at the park, because there's so many other options for her to go to.
That looks like the parents, if you know that.
Oh no. No, I've only had a couple of GSPs that I've worked with. That's a pretty solid dog though. So with the whole backdoor thing, so like before she ran to the back door, was she loose and then as you're bumping it, she ran to the door? Or was she already there and you're practicing a recall from the door?
No, she ran to the door. She was in the yard.
Yeah.
We were trying to go between the two of us.
Yeah.
And she just wasn't having it. I was trying to call her back to me. She was bouncing around by him. So then she kind of ran around a little bit and then she went up.
Yeah, so what happened is that she went into flight mode.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way I would have worked her through it is I keep going up.
Yeah.
But it's brutal.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that's why we do the long leash stuff. I tell everybody, like, you want to drill it to make that stuff easier. But at some point, if we put this in emergency context, because this actually happened to a client, like before the third class, which is where I start the recall, during that week, the dog actually ran away from them. And she had 127 continuous. But then the dog returned. But, you know, and she told me about it. She's like, I don't know if it was wrong, but he was running towards the street. And it was either I gamble he hits the street or I gamble I can make him return. And she's like, I went to 127 continuous. He screamed like murder. But then he ran right back to me.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, like that's how that would work. Even if your dog had been fully trained with obedience, if we factor in something like a firework or a backfire or something that spooks the dog's in flight mode or whatever, or even just confusion from an overhit, I go, that's typically, that's how it works.
Yeah.
You know?
And that seemed like, it was up high enough, it was like 75 or something like that, and she was, I'm just staring. There's not anything to look at. I'm looking inside my head.
Yeah, no, I do the same
that?
thing.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
I'm recalling those visuals in my head. But yeah, she started yelping a little bit. And I didn't stop it because she was yelping, but
Correct.
she was like, she was clearly like, I'm trying to get inside the house where I know it's safe. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm not making any progress anymore.
Sure.
And also it was like, well, as a stepping stone, I'm pleased to know that if she's panicking, she wants to go in the house and not
Sure.
leave the yard.
Right.
So, but it's the right thing to do to keep going up and continuing.
It's just really hard.
Yeah, and that's okay. I just wanted to, I think part of me was like, shit, I'm hurting her now, and it's not working, so I'm not sure if we need to keep going or not.
Yeah, it's super common. So, like, what happens is, towards the end of training, what I'll tell my clients is, you've done a lot of practice with recall, that what I like to do is I'll go out in controlled context with the long leash on, have the dog be free, and I'll max out the collar. And I won't say anything, I'll just go tap and see what happens. A lot of times they freak out and try to run away, so then I'm at 127, tap, make back with that leash pressure. So now they've been around like 3 times already.
What's
Now I've conditioned in controlled context, when you feel that much power, you're, without any words, without any direction, your inclination should be to return. So that in a moment, like for instance my client prior, I was like, for them, if they would have had that and we'd already done all the training, they would already have the foundation there.
Yeah.
So then they would have to do the continuous thing, you know? But I do that intentionally because in a emergency situation, you're going to be at 127.
Yeah.
You're gonna be dealing with that same emotional kind of like, oh shit, this sucks.
Yeah.
You know, and it sucks for her too. But now that's why that leash is there. So what she did is completely normal. She went to flight mode. She goes, I don't know what the hell to do, so I'm going to go to my safe place, right? But in reality, she's not going to have a safe place.
Yeah.
It's going to be just a way.
Yeah.
So that's where, you know, if I'm in the yard, and then the other thing I factor is like your neighbors, like, you know, what are you doing to the dog?
Yeah.
Right? So I completely get it. So right now, even though she's doing great in certain contexts, you want to keep that leash on, okay? And then before I forget, earlier you called her, and you're like, oh, I didn't even tap, right?
Yeah.
At this stage, you still always tap because you want to confuse her intentionally, right? So if I'm Dinah, and you call me, she responds very quickly, which is good. You tap too late, maybe that was wrong. She goes the opposite way, right? Because now we still have leash. That if I tap too late or miss tap, or tap too high and send her the other way, I can keep it on and make a return still.
Yeah. Basically, no matter what happens, like the bad thing won't stop until you come back.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. And like when I do the 127 stuff, I only do it with this command. Because this is the one that's like the most important command that if.
Well, and one thing that got, I think, our attention was when we were doing our initial Zoom consultation, and you were talking about like the 12-week thing being like if you guys like go hiking and you want her off leash. So we do that in a very remote part of Wyoming where there are grizzly bears and all kinds of other things, and like so that I think when you said that we were both kind of like, oh, that would be great. So like have that level of like absolute coming back because there would be a situation like that where like
for sure
if you're in danger, you have to come back.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, because you like let's say, knock on wood. We see a grizzly, right? And she goes into protect mode.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you have to override protect mode, which is very different than from calling her away from squirrels.
Yeah.
Calling away from just running away, like running around and swimming around, right? Very different context. Because she's going to be like, no, this is danger. I have to protect, right? And you're like, no, you're not going to win. Get over here. Yes. So yeah, that's why we do these things. But we want to practice.
Yeah.
And then once we're ready, I go, now you can go out, controlled context, still with the leash on, just randomly out of nowhere, boom, 127. What's your decision? Okay. She starts zooming back to you. Go ahead and go into this. Add a girl. Good. So then she thinks, oh, okay, whenever I feel that again, that's what I'm supposed to do. Okay. But I don't use words. It's just a random, out of nowhere hit to see what her decision is. If she goes the opposite way, I don't dial it down. I'm at 127 to force the return.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions about that? So everything that you've mentioned, completely normal. Okay. So what we're going to do today is I like your speed on the first couple that you did. The first one was really good, but then you came in as a distraction, and then that threw things off. I don't know if you guys saw that pattern. Okay. So to remedy that problem, what do you think you could have done? And I think you did do it on the third one.
Not sure.
Bump it.
Oh.
Raise that power.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Raise the power.
No, I think I noticed that she wasn't responding to it anymore.
Yeah, because she started overshooting a lot, right? And I was just really excited. Okay. So then, right off the bat, I go, oh, okay, you shoot off as I'm tapping. Because this should be the moment she feels that tap, she's already going into like, oh, sorry, right? So then I just start dabbling with that number. Maybe it's 52, and all of a sudden, boom, she's zooming straight to you.
Yeah.
Jen's were a little bit more direct because you were the stimulus, right? And she did overshoot a little bit, but for the most part, they're pretty direct. But right before you came, that first one she did with Corey was spot on.
Yeah.
Okay. So little things like that I look for, and I go, oh, okay, like this is where you're at in this kind of situation.
Yeah.
Okay. And something you could use to your advantage. Maybe you're in the yard, you're practicing for a bit, and then you show up after work or something, right, to throw her off, and then already knowing we're going to have issues there, I bump the number up already, and then to go into my recall so I can get a more direct recall right off the bat. Okay?
I have a question about actually something on our walks, and it may just be that I'm doing what I need to do. But I've noticed on our last couple of walks this week, like we went through periods of like high stim, like freak out potential, and she's doing pretty well, like still staying with me. But what it takes to get her, like the level it takes to get her back from a freak out is so much lower than the number it takes to get her back from a I want to go smell that.
Sure.
So we were doing a lot of I want to go smell that, and I'm cranking, and then the next block down, we run into sounds and dogs and cars, and it's like, you know, I hit it once, and it's like it's way too much.
Sure.
Other than just continually adjusting, I mean, should I be staying on the higher number? Is that she's freaking out? Like, I'm just trying to gauge.
If you notice that when you switch from, let's say, you know, it's 60 for when there's a lot of just fun stimuli, and then you have to drop it down to 15 when there's negative stimuli. Okay, that makes sense to me.
Just is what it is.
Now I get other dogs that are opposite. I get other dogs where it's like it's 60 for both.
Yeah.
It's just if anything is on the brain, you need more power. Okay, so you have to adjust according to her. So that's good info.
Yeah.
Really? This wagon and this little slow bulldog. But knowing that, because you know the area, is I would just preemptively, as you switch contacts, or you know you're walking into a space where she's going to be more nervy, you just dip down to those numbers. Okay, that's why I tell everybody, don't get married to a number. It's going to change all the time, and you're just learning more and more about her.
Because I keep thinking, like, her walk number is 32, and then I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, it's never a set number.
It's 26 for, like, I'm freaking out. 40 for I really want to eat that bunny food.
Correct. Yeah. And what you should find as you work through these contexts regularly is that you'll go to the numbers, but you shouldn't have to correct her. You'll start going into them, and she'll naturally just carry over the kind of obedience. But then, just in case something comes out of nowhere, you're already there to correct it very quickly.
Yeah.
The longer she can kind of delve into a mindset, like let's say like right now, what was going on there, before you get to the appropriate number, you're creating that pattern. So then it's going to be, every time I go into like the park, it's the first 5 minutes, I can do whatever I want. Because then after 5 minutes is when they're at 40. But if I learn the park is 40, then I just show up at the park to 40. So right off the bat, that first second, I have you under control. And that's where you start to make even more progress. Okay? Yeah, but that doesn't sound anything out of the ordinary. Okay?
Yeah.
Other questions? What we're going to do today is we're going to add something to the recall. So if you call Dinah and she comes to you, right? She auto-sits or whatever. If you were to move again, what should Dinah do? Yes, she should move with you, correct. Okay? So what we're going to do is add on what I call my sidestep exercise. I do this for 2 reasons. One is to, again, cause confusion. Because sometimes you'll move away from her or from the dog, and you'll tap and you'll send them away from you. So then start remoting. I don't call them. I just fix that issue. The second thing is you're really cementing when I call you, you have to stick to me to prevent premature breaking. So like if you call her away from squirrels, she doesn't shoot back to go play with the squirrels again, like she's stuck on you. And if I move, sometimes, like if there's a distraction and you're with the dog and you move back, sometimes they'll shoot off again. So I'm also preventing that, okay? So it's more so to cement her to glue to you, but also to give us more context where we would cause her to get confused so that we can fix that and teach her that always means return. Okay?
That's cool, yeah, because she's been doing a little bit of drifting on the walks as well.
Oh, sure.
She's learned to kind of not be cowering in fear all the time, and so she'll just, her gait's pretty quick, and so she'll kind of just drift up a little, and so I've been like bopping her back to me.
Mm-hmm. Are you turning?
I've been doing a bad job of turning.
Okay.
He told me that too, and then I totally forgot. He's like, yeah, turn. I'm like, crap, you're right.
Yes.
I know, but you were right to ask me that, because I wasn't, and I still wasn't, because I knew one ear and out the other.
Yeah, so if you find that's happening, then you can either just tweak that number, but always with the turn, unless you don't have the ability to, right? Because if it's like, there's a bunch of people behind you, you can't turn, you go in and go for that, okay? Now, typically, if you do a harsher hit as you're moving forward to bring the dog back, that will resonate more than if you use your regular number. The regular number, it's usually, like you said, pop, 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 right?
Yeah.
Then you walk a bit, then she's here again, you repeat that process.
Yeah.
So then I go higher to correct it once, and then they're like, okay, not going to pass you up, okay? But ideally, always turning when you have the ability to. And it's just keeping tabs on that. We're going on class 4, right? So by now, it should be maybe every once in a while you have to turn. If you feel like you're having to turn on somewhat of a regular basis, I play with that number a bit, okay? So this exercise is very simple. Everything's going to stay the same. Dinah, come. Once she comes to you, let her settle to that sitting position. So let's say she sat on my right. I could go directly to the left like this, or even backwards like this, okay, or even angled like that. Any direction except forward like. Okay, so if she lands on my side, and let's say I go like this, what does this look like? Exactly. Or some clients will go left, but instead of going left like this, they turn like this. So it still looks like heel.
Yeah.
So we're preventing any forward like movement. So that I know if I move backwards, she doesn't know how to heel backwards. So so there's no specific way this should look. She's going to turn around and follow you. That's perfectly fine. Again, I don't care where she lands. I just want her tight on the body. But I do the awkward directions so that she doesn't go into healing mode. Okay? So I'll coach you through the first few. Who's going to do the first batch here?
Already roped up.
Okay. So go ahead and get some distance here. And what's your number?
36.
Let's go to 40. And in here, very important that you reel the leash, because as you start to step away, if she makes a mistake, this way she doesn't get 30 feet away from you. Okay. Whenever you are ready.
Dinah, come.
Hold right there. Good, that's good. Now keep your leash slack here. Now relax. And now just take 2 steps backwards. Tap, 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 Good. You're going to take 2 steps to your immediate right. Good. Wait a moment. And then angled left and back. Good. Good. And praise. Good. And release. Right. Good. We'll repeat that a few times. We're at 40, correct?
Yeah.
Let's try 44.
Should we be sitting?
There we go.
Dinah, come.
Good. Hold right there. Good. Give a little slack here. That's good right there. Now back. Good. Good. Try to your left. And back. Very good. And break. We're going to do 3 more, then we're going to swap.
We noticed.
All of the hacking.
I totally did. I would have backed right into it.
Good. Yep, hold. Good.
Dinah, come.
Good. Good. To your right. Yeah. Good. Back. Good. And break.
Sorry.
Break.
Right.
Release. Break.
Oh,
Yep.
good.
We're going to do 2 more.
Sorry, I couldn't tell if you were saying right
No,
or
it's okay.
praise or...
Yeah, no, it's fine.
That was me. Dinah, come.
Good. 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 Better. Back. Good. Right. Tap. Good. And back and left. Good. That was a good one. Very immediate. Tap. That's good. Praise. Add a girl. And break. 1 more.
Dinah, come.
Yep. Tap back. Now wait there. Tap. Tap. Now stay where you are. Tap. Tap. There. Okay. And a tap to get her to settle put her butt down. There we go. Good. Good. There we go. Now, yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Now, yeah.
Here, we should
Now go into your movements.
Huh?
Now go into your movements.
Okay.
Right. Good. 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 Very good. And break and swap handlers.
Gotta come.
Good. Good. Tap, tap. Right. Good. 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 Wait a moment. Let it settle. Good. Good. Was there a tap there or was that her?
There was a little before that.
Okay. Good. Tap, 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 tap. Right. Good. Good. Let her settle. Good. One more. There we go. Good. Praise. Good.
Went up to 48.
You're at 48? Good. Want to do 4 more?
What's that?
4 more?
Dinah, come.
Good. Yeah, Bill. Yeah. Good. She's right. Tap. 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 There. Good. One more movement. Tap. Very good. And place. Good. Go ahead and release. 3 more.
Dinah, come.
Good. Okay. Yeah, girl. Grab. There we go. What's the number now? Good. And break. 2 more. 60.
They're just getting a little bored of the exercise.
I'm offended, Dinah.
There are only 2.
Stop, Bob.
Good?
Johnny, come.
Good. 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 Very good. And break. 1 more.
Staying close. Do a little pirouette. It's easier.
Good.
Johnny, come.
Girl. Good. Good. What, put a phrase? Good. And break. Very good. So, you're at 60 still, right?
Yeah.
Did you notice the
So
difference?
now I'm back down to 50.
Oh, you were down to 50? Did you notice the difference after you hit 60 though?
Yeah. I mean, she seemed to get a lot better.
She was a lot tighter, right. Like every time she either plopped herself right on top of your feet, or she was really close.
She ran on that last one. She
Yes.
really booked it.
I think it accidentally went down to 60 while, or 50 while I was doing it.
That's okay. But definitely when you were like that, when she got distracted there and you went to 60, and I saw the hit went through, and she like right away scooted over. Since that one hit, everything was a lot more tighter and a lot faster. Okay, so this kind of gives you an idea, like the difference. So when you're training and practicing, or even just like applying it realistically as best you can, when she's doing these things, just think to yourself like, is this the fastest that we've seen her do it? Okay, because that's what you're conditioned. So if it's like, Dinah, come. Sure. Right? That's not going to be applicable in real life.
Yeah.
Because other things are going to be much more important to her that she's going to just deviate, right? But if you got that Dinah, come, boom, she's shooting towards you and she's super tight, that tells you how urgent or important the command is, because she, one, is moving very quickly because she wants it to immediately just alleviate the pressure, but two, coming in super tight where she's like, I don't even want to gamble being too far away. Okay, so it's just playing with those numbers. So I think the collar maybe fit a little bit too loose.
Yeah.
Which is why it was that high, because when she's moving and it's shuffling around and stuff, plus with a thicker coat, and also you want it to be up here, and right now it's at the base of her neck. Okay?
Oh.
So we always want the e-collar above, just behind the jawline, and if you place it here, it shouldn't move.
Okay.
If it's fitted correctly. Now, with dogs like her, smaller, thinner necks and stuff, it can be a little bit of a pain in the butt to keep it in place.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it should just hold there. So even if
Okay.
she's scratching at it, it's not going to move.
Wow.
If you see you put it here, and it comes here, that it's definitely too loose.
Okay. That's a really good thing to know, because I was getting all like, oh, I think it's too tight.
Yeah, no.
Panicking.
For when I put it on, it's super tight until you would think, oh my god, the dog's choking, and then I loosen it a notch. Okay? Because since she has that thick fur, It acts as a buffer,
Yeah.
right?
Makes sense.
And what this is actually what ends up happening is that we end up at these very high numbers because we're trying to make up for that lack of contact. So then what could happen is, let's say you're at 60, and then one day she turns her neck, and you have good contact, and you hit 60, and she's going to feel the full power of it. Okay, so I sent you the how to fit a collar video, right? Yeah. So if you watch the video, like it's really snug. We don't go by the 2-finger rule.
Okay.
That doesn't apply to the collar. We go by when you put the box on the neck. When you try to put 2 fingers underneath the probes, it should be like super difficult to get those fingers underneath there.
Wow.
Okay, that's snug.
Sure.
Yeah. It's okay as long as she doesn't sound like she's been smoking for 60 years or like wheezing. Like, she's fine. Okay. It's usually everybody's like, oh my god, is that too tight? And I'm like, no, it's just right. Okay. Question so far. So a couple of things that I saw. One of them was when you did it. I think it was the second to last one you did. You called Dinah, and you were adjusting your leash, and she actually preemptively was about to start leaving you. Okay. I let her. And I corrected her. Okay, no words. We don't say come again. Once it's been established, hey, I call you, you stick to me. If she prematurely leaves, the e-collar just automatically goes off. The only way that it doesn't is if she, again, sticks to you. Okay, so right now, because we have the long leash on her, if I see anything of her making a mistake, I let it happen, and I use the remote to fix it. Okay, because this is only going to be for a period of time. Right, this long leash. So we're trying to take advantage of every little mistake she makes, every opportunity, every time I can get a tap in and possibly confuse her. I'm using to my advantage so that when she is fully off leash, we've kind of ironed out all those kinks, and we shouldn't, one, have those problems, or two, should it happen, you've already worked through it. That for her, it's already familiar. Okay, so like that's why I said the 127 hit. Make it familiar to her so that in an emergency, should something happen, you've already done it. Okay, for Corey. There was one, I think you had called her, and you were doing a sidestep, and I think she prematurely broke away, and then you did a recall. You did a talk. Okay? So then I just keep, same thing, no words. Once I've issued it once, I just make it happen and reinforce the remote. If she starts to run away, that's when we just catch her with that leash tension. Remote moving backwards to direct her back to us, and then we're good. There was one other thing. There was that one. One thing I had you do, but that I liked was there was one where she landed a little bit off, and I said stay right there, and I said tap. Is that she came in closer?
Yeah.
Okay, without any movement.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of experimenting there and going like, if you don't have any kind of visual, what's your response going to be? And her response was to return, so that was good. I like that. So what I would play with now is this sidestep thing you add in intermittently. Okay, we just drill it so that I can show you how to do it, and then you apply it as necessary.
Yeah.
So like the squirrel thing, great opportunity when you call her, because again, when you move away, some dogs think like we're done and they'll shoot off just because I stepped away from them, and you're using it as a moment to clarify for her, like, nope, you're still supposed to move with me. Let me think here. Is she food motivated at all or no? I can't remember.
She's not kibble motivated at all. Treats, yeah.
Okay. So when I train dogs personally, I just use cheese, chicken, steak, pepperoni, like whatever. I use human stuff. It doesn't make for beggars or anything like that, because if we're training for a high level degree of obedience, then I want to make sure I pay very well. Okay. So what I would suggest for your exercises when you're trying to teach her to recall off of each other is you incorporate it there. Okay, just to kind of balance things out, just to incentivize her a bit more to like really pay attention of who's actively calling you. And then once you feel like she's got a really good handle on it, you can always just move the food away. Okay, recall is the only command that I really care about if I'm going to add it in where I would. Otherwise, if you try it out and it feels like this is too much of a mess, then it's just practice, practice, practice until she gets it. Okay. Questions about any of this?
No. Eventually, are we going to do something where we train the dog to be put somewhere and stay in a spot? Okay.
We can do that as soon as next class. This is the two halves of recall. The first one was just getting her to come to you.
Yeah.
Now we're just adding in a little exercise to cause mistakes and keep her cemented to you. Okay. And have you tried messing with the like long leash heel stuff at all?
I have not taken her on.
Okay. You can do it in the yard.
Yeah.
Just do a recall and then heel with the long leash, just to see where she's at, because that will actually tell you how well she knows the heel.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I had a client, they said heel, and it'd been like 3 weeks, and I could already tell it wasn't. I just to point it out. She said heel, and the dog was like 6 feet away from her, and every other dog is almost always boom right on the client. So then I told her, promote, and then instead of running to her leg, he like ran. So then I was like, you need to really tighten up that heel, because on the short leash it looks okay, but once you put them on that long leash, I can tell you the dog has no real concept of what the heel is. Okay, so if you say heel and you got the long leash, Dinah's right there on your hip, that tells you like, wow, you have a very clear concept of this. Okay, so then on the leash walking stuff, like out on walks, it's funny because clients will tell me on a long leash the dog will feel better than on the short leash. Okay, super common. Because typically with the short leash, people subconsciously like shorten it and start using it as a means of like controlling the dog physically, and then that causes pulling. Okay, so that'll give you an idea of what. So if you see one is better than the other, then we may be doing something incorrectly on the short leash. Okay, do you have a question for me?
Nope.
No. How about you, Jen? So she's looking good. She's taking against the collar well. Like she's here, she's nice and calm. She's not, stressed out. She's looking pretty relaxed. So next class we'll bring a placemat with us. We usually have one that'll be the go here, don't move. Okay, and then we start just kind of. Are you guys doing 6 or 9?
We set it for 9.
We set it for 9. Okay, cool. So then what we do. So typically, like with like a full 12-week program, the way it looks is the first 6 is everything on the short leash, and then the second 6 is everything progressing on leash to off leash. Okay. So for you guys, the way I would do it is we get a stationary command. Then we'll teach them to stay, the formal stay.
So if you're gonna upgrade to 12, would this be the time to let you know that if the timing is going to be different?
You can't. I honestly don't care.
Okay.
I just go by the. If you want to keep your time, for each of the weeks, then I would say it's better to do sooner than later.
Sure.
If we have availability at other times, then you can see what you get at 9. And then all it means is if you extend and this time is taken, then you would just be at a different time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all.
But in terms of you were kind of just like scheduling out how many classes you spend on each thing and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Throw that off.
So for the standard family pet, the 6 commands are sit, stay, down, come, place, heel.
Yeah.
Okay. So if someone's doing 9, I go heel, recall, place, and then stay. Okay. So that's usually down to the 6, and then the last 3 we're progressing things on long leash towards off leash for those commands. Okay. So if you're wanting to get all 6 of the formal family pet obedience commands, then I teach all that first, and then we start transitioning to things, practicing things on the long leash to off leash.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. So if you're thinking we'd like to have all the commands, then I would say do so. But the trifecta of dog training is walk with me, don't without pulling all that stuff, come when I call you, and don't move. Okay, so I teach one command, but there's the stationary commands. We have sit, down, and place. Okay, sit is not meant for long extended periods. Down is meant for extended periods. Place is meant for extended periods. So since place is the easiest one to teach, I usually will favor that one when I'm doing the 9 week, because it's easier for the owner to teach. It's very simple, and then we just progress those commands as far as we can. Okay, cool. Other questions?
We're going to be in the dark here pretty soon.
Yeah. So what we're doing, because we had a client that booked at 7 this past week, and it was is I told Maria to start booking those later clients at the facility. Otherwise, if you're available earlier, I think we've had people either switch days, so there's more openings that I think. So, but I would message Maria, and if you want an earlier time, just let her know. Okay,
but I don't mind, but it is good.
Yeah, no, we were at odds, and these parts get super dark. These lights don't really do a whole lot.
Nope.
Yeah. So the other option would be if we kept this time and it just got too dark, then we would just meet at my facility. It's still applicable, but I like to as much as possible work out.
Yeah.
Space.
For sure.
Okay.
I think this would have been interesting with our other dog, because I used to play with her in this park off leash, and those motorcycles would have sent her for.
Oh, sure.
Because you can see our
and
place.
they did one time. You had to tackle her so that she didn't get out on the phone.
Yeah. So that would have been interesting. I was happy to see she didn't even react to it.
Yeah. No, actually we have a client that we just saw earlier, skateboarders. There used to be a reactivity towards a lot of things. A lot of that's gone. Now she's just running with skateboarders because they're just in her neighborhood they don't come that frequent, so it's hard to address that. So then I told her go to a skate park to set the foundation down. It's not going to carry over because it's very different context, but at least it'll get her familiar with how we stopped it in the future. So yeah. Anything else?
No, I don't think.
Okay. Well, it was a pleasure seeing everybody again.
Yeah, you too.
If you have any questions, let me know. She's looking really good. And then just talk to Maria, if you want to adjust your time and everything. And I'd suggest sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Okay? Other than that, you guys have a good week.
Yep.